A Killen is tied up next to a dried-out well at the village entrance, and the village chief is raising a cleaver, ready to slaughter it for meat. Then the Killen speaks up. I'm a Killen who came down from heaven to face my trials. I couldn't stand watching people suffer, so I came to help you all. Please, let me go. But before it could even finish, the villagers drove 2 steel pitchforks straight into its chest, then threaded iron chains through its shoulder blades and bound it tight. Then the chief starts yelling, "This beast's loaded with meat. Killing it'll feed the whole village for 3 days." The Killen was in total disbelief. The village had been in a drought for 3 years. He burned 100 years of divine power to save these people, literally spit out saliva and turned it into a spring, saving every last soul here. He even cut off a chunk of his own thigh to save the chief's grandson who was on his deathbed. But what he never expected was that the moment they made it through, the very first thing on their minds was to taste the flesh of this divine beast. Quick, cut that good piece off his thigh. That goes to my bower. Old Lady Wang gripped a chipped pig slaughtering knife, eyes locked on the Killen. He was chained to the dry well by chains thick as arms, and had already bled nearly dry. Old Lady Wang, 3 years ago when your family ran out of food, I gave half a bowl of my own heart's blood to pull you back from death's door. Pfft, you got some nerve bringing that up, you monster. Old Lady Wang hocked a loogie right in the Killen's face. Eyes slanted, face full of rolls, trembling with excitement. If it wasn't for the evil in your blood, would I be aching every single day this year? Today I'm eating at least 2 extra pieces of you and gotta get my strength back. The village chief puffed on his pipe, watching from the side with cold, calculating eyes. Everyone line up, there's plenty for all. The crowd went wild. Li Ergo pushed to the front, gripping a rusty saw. Chief, the meat's yours to split, but those horns on his head are mine. The lord in town said those things are worth a whole city. Bull, first come first served, why should it all go to you? The crowd erupted into a heated argument. The Killen looked at all these people who had once knelt on the ground calling him a god and almost laughed. Have you all forgotten who gave you the water in that well? The crowd went dead silent for a second, then burst into even louder laughter. So what if you gave us water? Isn't saving people literally a god's job? You're useless now. Might as well donate your body. Call it your final act of merit. The village chief stepped forward and let out a dramatic sigh. Heavenly being, don't go blaming us for being heartless. Times are tough. If you truly want to save all living things, you gotta go all the way. Don't worry. When you're gone, I'll have someone set up a memorial tablet for you in the ancestral hall. This piece here is the firmest. Saving it for my grandson who just came back to life. Gotta restore his strength. The blade came down. No sharp pain like he expected, just a numb, tearing sensation. Golden blood trickled from the wound, dripping into the cracked, dry earth. The villagers were like hounds catching a whiff of blood, eyes going red in an instant. Blood! The god's bleeding! Grab a bowl, catch it! Not a single drop goes to waste! A dozen cracked bowls were shoved under the Killen's arm in seconds. Old Lady Wang even kicked over crippled Zhang next to her just to grab a few drops. The Killen watched them squabble like animals. His mortal heart was dead, his divine nature slowly beginning to wake. Chief, why is this blood so hot? Whatever, but just drink it. Drink? Get a bowl and catch it. Not a drop goes to waste. This is God's blood. It can cure anything. The chief kicked Li Ergo's cracked bowl right out of his hands. The golden blood splattered on the ground, and withered weeds instantly shot up fresh green sprouts. The crowd erupted in a mix of terror and pure greed. It really does bring the dead back to life. Stop grabbing. Everyone line up. The chief swung his blood-soaked cleaver to regain control. The crowd was forced apart, clearing a path. A woman in a jade green padded jacket stepped out, holding a 2 or 3-year-old boy. It was Kuihua. 2 years ago, she had a rough labor. Looked like both mother and child wouldn't make it. The Killen plucked one of his core sacred scales, boiled it into medicine, and forced it down her throat, saving both their lives. Dear deity, you've been through so much. Kuihua walked up to the Killen, eyes rimmed red. The Killen thought she came to plead for him, but she reached behind her back and pulled out a wooden bucket bigger than a wash basin. My son's been sickly since the day he was born. You're so kind. You saved us back then, so I know you'd be willing to let us take your heart and liver as medicine for my bower, right? She tilted her innocent-looking face up, completely matter-of-fact. The Killen stared at her for a long time. Kuihua, the day you were in labor, the midwife said there was no saving you. To rescue you, I burned 100 years of my cultivation. I even shattered my own divine protection. And now you want to dig out my heart? Kuihua's expression shifted, then she straightened up with full confidence. How is that my fault? You chose to save me yourself. Besides, you've been alive for God knows how many years. Dying's no big deal for you. My Bao is only 3. His life is worth a whole lot more than yours. The little boy in her arms giggled and reached out to grab at the torn flesh around the Killen's wound. Mama, I want meat, the golden meat. Good boy. Mama's cutting it for you right now. Kuihua snatched the pig slaughtering knife from Old Lady Wang and aimed it straight at the Killen's chest. Hold on. The village chief cut her off, walked over and squeezed the muscle on the Killen's chest. If you just stab a god to death like that, the meat goes sour, ruins the flavor. You gotta use a dull blade and cut it inch by inch, keep him conscious. The most nourishing meat comes when he's in extreme pain, blood pumping hard. A wave of agreement swept through the crowd. Chief's right, can't let him go out too easy. We've suffered for 3 years, time to enjoy this premium cut. The Killen watched them all, and the very last shred of divine compassion in his chest went stone cold. So this was the humanity he came down to save. Pathetic. Aren't you afraid of divine punishment? Divine punishment? If God had eyes, would he have let us drought for 3 years? You walked right into our hands, you fool. You're the blessing God sent us. Blade's too dull. Go drag the guillotine out of the ancestral hall. What do we need the guillotine for? Just skin him alive. Word is Keelan hide is fireproof and waterproof. Makes great armor. Leargo pulled out a small skinning knife from God knows where and sharpened it against a rock until sparks flew. Exactly, hide goes to Leargu, then the eyeballs are mine. Cripplejang hobbled over. God's eyeballs, and bet they glow in the dark like night pearls. Sell them to the pawn shop in the city, they'd go for serious cash. Right there in front of the Keelan, they talked about him like he was a fat pig ready for slaughter, divvying up his organs one by one.